I have always enjoyed exercise. Movement is a big part of my life. Sitting is not my thing, so I take many breaks during the day just to move because movement is life. And also, football is life.
Football is life! Na, na,
What
na,
kind
na,
of
na, na,
exercise
na,
have I
na,
done in the past? Well, I used to play basketball all the time, but I've had to give that up because of my knees and my feet and my back and my neck and basically everything. Basketball hurts as you get older. I used to run, and I don't do a lot of that anymore. I like to ride my bike. I go to the gym. I do some weight work. I like walking. Simple, easy, important. And for someone my age, I'd like to think that I'm in relatively decent shape. Could I lose a few pounds around the waistline? Oh, of course. And like many of you, I have a smartwatch. I like my smartwatch. It's actually cut down on my time that I spend on my phone because only the really important information comes to my watch. With that said, my watch has a health app. I'm able to track my steps, see how many calories I burn throughout the day, and then feel guilty about how little activity I've actually done. I am not sure I like my health app. I would like to get rid of it. Because if I'm taking a rigorous walk with my dog, let's say, and my watch says, looks like you're taking a walk, do you want to record it? Sure, that makes sense. But here's the deal. When I'm walking up a flight of steps, like 9 or 10 steps, do I need my watch saying, looks like you're on the elliptical? I'm not. I'm just climbing one flight of stairs to my hotel room on the second floor. Mark, looks like you're exerting yourself. No watch, I'm brushing my teeth. Looks like you're swimming laps. No, I'm not swimming laps. I'm just reaching into the refrigerator to get something from the back corner. Am I that out of shape? Just by reaching into the fridge, my heart rate spikes and my watch thinks I'm exercising? Can't a man reach for the Parmesan cheese in peace? And then there's my standing goal, which I love. That's sometimes my greatest accomplishment of the week, that I stood up 12 times in one day. I don't know if my watch is being helpful or passive aggressive. Congrats, Mark, you managed to stop sitting. Here's your sticker.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Podfulness. Let's get started.
What's up, potty people? That doesn't sound right. How we doing, podners? What can the audience be called that's listening to Podfulness, right? The Pod Squad? No, that's probably been done. I don't know how to refer to you, the listener. I could refer to each of you by name. So if you could just email me your name, if you're listening, I will say everyone's name at the beginning of the show. But let's face it, that's thousands and thousands of people. That would take too much time. All right, let's begin the show. So we've got our guest, Kristin Howland. She comes to us from Massachusetts. We'll get into that interview in just a little bit here, but I want to let you know that we are changing up the format. And I say we, I mean me, but we makes it sound like there's a whole team behind the curtain here. What we're going to do is we're going to do the interview and the podcast talk together to make it more cohesive, because really what we listen to is a reflection of who we are, right? Same can be said about our music. The same can be said about TV shows, the books that we read. It's really a reflection of who we are. So instead of separating those two, I'm going to combine them together. And then we will end the show with the game. So you're going to notice a little tweak in the format. Then again, if this is the first time you're ever listening to Podfulness, you're not going to notice that because this is the first episode ever. If this is your first episode, we have lots of other episodes waiting for you. So please check them out. Anyway, let's jump into the interview. Kristin is ready to go. She's all set up. So let's get to it. Kristin, do you remember way back in the day when the Colts and Patriots were arch rivals? And the Patriots always won, that we made a bet that if the Patriots won, I would have to wear a Patriots shirt, right? And if the Colts won, you'd have to wear a Colts shirt. Did you know that I still have that? Yeah, I still have that Patriots shirt that you got for me.
Love it. Yes, it's cold.
Gosh, the Patriots just owned us. Well, hello, Kristin. You are in Boston. We've worked together. Talk to me about yourself. What do you want the audience to know about you?
Good morning, Mark. It's so nice to see you again,
I
meet you
know.
again. And yes, we were coworkers for many years. But for people who don't know me, I'm Kristin Howland. I am an active wife and a mom. I live in Newton, Massachusetts, which is right outside of Boston. I run, I golf, I walk.
You've always been so active too. Yeah,
Yeah,
whenever we'd have company meetings, I'd always see you with your running shoes.
pretty
I'd be
much
waking up and you'd be coming back from your run. Have you done
5
marathons and
marathons.
you've done 5 marathons?
5.
Wow. The big one, the Boston?
I ran Boston 3 times. I ran Marine Corps Marathon in Washington, D.C.
Mhm.
And I actually walked the Boston Virtual Marathon in 2021.
I do not know how that works. What do you mean? You were just on a treadmill or something?
No, so in 2021, still in post-COVID land,
Yep.
we could have decided to run it on the race course, or you can do it from wherever. I chose the wherever.
Mm-hmm.
So I started at our little cottage on Cape Cod in a little town called Chatham, and I mapped out a 26-mile route in
That's
and
great.
around Chatham. 12-ish miles were like on a bike path, but a lot of it was like I went to the water, I went to the lighthouse, I went through some beautiful bog areas, and I strategically planned it so I would finish at the beach, which is 1 mile from the little cottage. And anyone who has ever run the Boston Marathon or any race, there's some superstition around you don't wear the finisher's jacket until you finish.
Oh, I did not
And
know
so I
that.
had Bill, it's only me. No,
Okay.
I'm just kidding. So I had Bill meet me at the beach.
Bill, your husband.
Yes.
Okay.
No. And I had bought the marathon jacket and stuffed it in a little gift bag for myself. And he had no idea what was in the bag. Well, he might have looked, I don't know.
Yeah.
And when I technically, according to my little Apple Watch, crossed 26.2, I got cheers and I got my jacket.
That is so great.
Yeah.
So the question is, Kristin, what are you running from?
Stress.
Stress is the answer there. Is that why you run?
Yes, actually, that is true. And from the when Mark and I worked together, I'm going to tell a little story now. Mark.
Okay.
This is your podcast, but I'm going to tell a little story.
Take over.
So when Mark and I were coworkers, we worked with or on a product that unfortunately failed. And truth be told, that stress of a work product failure, not due to Mark or I, we were just employees, kind of collateral damage.
Right.
But that problem, that huge work burden, that got me through my first Boston Marathon.
Oh my, it fueled you?
It absolutely fueled me to say, I'm stressed, I'm frustrated, I'm going to go for an 8-miler. I'm going to go for a 10-miler. And I would come back and the problem was still there, but it allowed me to escape for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, truly, that race was fueled in large part by our.
Well, and you had a lot more to carry on your shoulders than I did because you were in charge of marketing this product. And it was just not going well, not because of the marketing, and you were spinning your wheels and trying as best as you could. What is that stress like to have to be in charge of marketing something and you know it's not good?
I always tried to be a good public face,
Mm-hmm.
but I realized, and this actually has helped me in future work, in roles since then, job roles since then. It helped me ask better questions of my development team, ask more intentional, like, what's the deadline here? So it actually ends up in some odd way being a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it helped. It taught me a lot about how to be a good marketer, how to be a good teammate,
Mm-hmm.
and resilience.
And resilience. So what is it like also being in a male-dominated industry? Because it was a technology product, and
Correct.
you are a female leading the charge. Can you talk about that?
I would say that I'm a pretty strong woman,
Mhm.
and I command a presence, although today I sound like I'm fumbling, but I typically command a presence when I'm standing in front of people. I feel like I'm likable, approachable, but don't take that approachability and my kindness and my personality as being naive or being pushy. And so I did start to be more assertive at like, okay, well, is this going to work? Like, you've got to prove to me that something is going to work. So I definitely have to say it made me a stronger person in many ways or areas of my life.
Mhm.
But I am grateful to the males who allowed me to be at their level. I was actually blessed also with a very strong female manager who stood
Mhm.
up for me and who stood up for what I wanted to achieve. And so I'm grateful that she allowed me to be so strong. But yeah, it is tough in a male dominated field. You've got to be a strong person. You've got to have a little bit of a thick skin. And were there days that were hard and I went home with tears in my eyes? Probably. Well,
Mhm.
not probably. Yes, there were. But I feel like that's made me a stronger mom, a stronger employee, a better wife, and it got me through marathons. And so how bad could that be?
So other than the running, so when you would come home and you were stressed, what else was a way that you could relieve your stress or take your mind away from work?
Being with, at the time, younger kids allowed me to play.
Mhm.
And if they were going outside to shoot hoops, more so my daughter than my son, great, I'm going to go shoot hoops. If you want me to go watch you at a soccer game or watch you play baseball or throw a football around, I thought that was great because that was I feel like I was more in touch with my kids because I didn't let the work stress overwhelm me. And that I did, I think I was pretty good at that.
Yeah, right. But you didn't always start in technology or marketing because I know you've got Purdue in your blood. Purdue University, located in West Lafayette, Indiana. Full disclosure, that's where my son is attending college. But that's where you started, right?
It is where I started. And I have to, full transparency, I was there for 1 year. I
Mhm.
absolutely loved it. I was actually a pre-med major. But unfortunately, I was not ready to be a college student. And so I came back to Massachusetts, took a gap year, and ended up graduating from a school in Massachusetts with a business degree. But yeah, that Purdue, go Boilers, boiler
Yeah,
up.
boiler up, hammer down. Is that what I'm supposed to say? I'm still learning. I didn't attend Purdue, so I'm trying to
Very
figure it out.
much.
But your love of science continues because you work closely with, isn't it the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute?
Yes,
And Dana-Farber, refresh people's mind as to who she is or was.
so Dana-Farber is an organization tied to several hospitals here in the Boston area. It is actually world renowned. Some of the most problematic cancer patients go to Dana-Farber for treatment. And I am currently job seeking. And as such, I have a little bit of extra time. And
Mhm.
so I volunteer at Dana-Farber 3 to 6 hours a week. And I am a patient ambassador. And I feel like it's my way to give back to a community that has, I mean, I don't want to say they saved my dad's life, but they were a big part of
Yeah.
why my dad is in remission. And I'm very happy he had bladder cancer. And I'm very happy with that. And so I feel like I give back. And I am, as a patient ambassador, I push wheelchairs. I retrieve people's cell phones from their car if they forget
Uh-huh.
them. I can direct them to the restroom, orange sign on the left.
Right.
I can bring them a little bit of joy and, in a situation that can be very, very tough. And
Yeah.
one of my jobs is I bring art supplies around to the infusion rooms.
Mm.
And I ask them, would you like to take your mind off of it with a little bit of art? And sometimes they take me up on it. Sometimes they're on their phone. Sometimes they're working. But, just to be that little bit of joy and get them anything they need brings me joy.
Yeah.
And it's not as much as it's as much for the caregivers as it is for the patients, because sometimes they are an overlooked population and I
Yeah.
enjoy helping them, hey, would you like a newspaper? I deliver water. I mean, it's nothing that is hard,
Mhm.
but it's just knowing that someone is there to listen, to care, and to take care of them.
Well, giving directions to where the bathroom's located, that's a challenge sometimes for you.
And actually, sometimes I feel like an airline steward, like, oh, go this
Right.
way, to the left, to the right, whatever. But
And are there all ages there, or is it mostly for adults?
good question. Actually, because of the proximity of the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute to Children's Hospital, my location does not have any children under 18. So I have all adults.
Okay. Yeah. Do you feel a certain amount of gratitude, and do you feel guilty about that? Like, anytime when I help people who are in need, I think I'm so lucky that I'm not, but at the same time, I feel so bad that they are.
Yes, there is a little bit of that, especially where I have the balance of they saved my father's life
Mm-hmm.
and they were unable to save my husband's first wife. And so I have this weird balance in my head, but at the end of the day, I'm there to support the patients and the caregivers who are going through something terrible. We never make any, obviously I'm not a clinician. I don't make any promises. I don't make any assumptions. I don't even know what they're actually there for. I don't have access to their medical records, and that's just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there to provide a little bit of joy, help them with whatever they need on their journey.
Right. That's wonderful. There's stress of work, or in your case, not working now. So hang on to that thought. We're going to get to that in a moment here. And then there's your when you run, I'm sure you listen to music. So when do you listen to podcasts?
So, during COVID, the COVID time,
Mm-hmm.
Bill and I started walking, sometimes without masks. And then there was like a masking issue, which we're not going to get political here, but we started walking.
But wasn't that kind of like, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but wasn't it kind of cool to see people out walking? It was really, really neat. And you'd wave and you'd smile. It's like, oh, yeah.
Lots of people. So we started walking together during COVID.
Yep.
And I realized that instead of running 3 or 4 days a week, I can get as much fitness from walking. So now I've become, and as attributed by my earlier marathon story, I am now a power walker as well. And I do running twice a week and usually walking at least 4. But when I am walking, and because running is my music is my running thing, now podcasts are my walking thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I've, picked up a couple different ones, really only in the past year or so, to be honest. I'm really enjoying it. And I feel like it's helping with, sometimes it's a mental break. Sometimes it's helping me try to be a better person. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, that's nice. And the one that we're going to talk about today is really pretty simple. There's not really that much to it. It's the Sunday Sitdown, right?
Correct.
Sunday Sitdown with Willie Geist. How many adult men go by the name Willie still? Not that many, right?
Oh, bless his heart.
Yeah, bless his heart. So this podcast, what draws you to it? Why do you listen to this one?
So again, since I hadn't been a podcaster, or no, a podcastee.
Podcastee? Yeah, that makes sense.
I enjoy the Today Show.
Mhm.
And I also enjoy Sunday Today. I enjoy Morning Joe on MSNBC. And one of the stalwarts is Willie Geist.
Right.
He's very easy to listen to. And during the Sunday Today show, he has a very short little snippet with a particular guest. And I think the first one that really stuck in my head was Michael J. Fox, who Willie ended up running for in the New York City Marathon, which was amazing. Yeah. But he does these short little snippets, and it's like 6 or 7 minutes of an interview. And at the end of the on TV interview, he says, and if you'd like to hear more of my interview with, in this case, Michael J. Fox, listen to my Sunday Sit-Down podcast. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I took the 7 minutes and I was like, oh, I should listen to that one. I should listen to that one. And now he interviews usually Hollywood people or musicians or producers or what have you. And I just think he's easy to listen to. The person usually has a really compelling story, like how do we know them? But they also tend to get into their history and where they came from and why they are passionate about the causes that they are interested in, or how did they get to be a Hollywood star, or like, they started in commercials or what have you. So
Yeah.
it's just really interesting. And again, his conversation style is very easy. It's not like a forced conversation. There's no tension to the conversation. It's just a nice, easy thing to listen to. And I've learned more about, for example, Sandra Oh, who was on Grey's Anatomy, and about her show. Stanley Tucci was a great other one. He's on The Devil Wears Prada, and a couple other ones. One that I found hilarious, and I almost listened to it twice because I thought it was so funny, was the co-interview of Martin Short and Steve Martin.
Yeah, right.
And if you watch,
they rib each other all the time. That's
they
part of their magic.
do.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. And how they definitely feed off of each other, but that, I've been watching their Only Murders in the Building on Hulu.
Yep.
They were talking about that show, and he talked to one other episode with Willie was that he talked to Nathan Lane.
Okay.
And it's funny because time-wise, like I can see how long a podcast is going to last. And they're average 45 to 50 minutes. Like there's no set time for a podcast. The Nathan Lane one was like an hour and 17 minutes. And I was like, my walk's not going to last that long.
Nathan likes that spotlight.
Holy cow. But it's light. It's enjoyable. And a lot of times, it's people I have either been watching on TV or listening to that I want to hear more about their story. What we see on TV is a lot of times just like, you see the actor part, right? And you see the part that they play. And that might not be who they are as a real person. So I think that's what's the appeal for me, is like, it's really kind of cool. Like the Michelle Yeoh episode, for example, aired the morning of the Oscars.
Yep. Okay.
She ended up winning that night.
Yep.
But it was just interesting to hear about her story and where she came from. And the name of the movie is going to escape me right now, but it's
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, something like that. So Sunday Sitdown, like you said, it's short, but still longer than the TV interviews, naturally. And there are ads in the show, but it's just for NBC products. So basically, you're listening to a long commercial for anything related to NBC. So I listened to, since I knew you were coming on, I listened to the Mark Wahlberg.
Okay.
One. I had to go with the East Coast guys, right? And then I listened to Seth MacFarlane. Two interesting guys. They talked a lot about Father Stew. That's Mark Wahlberg's most recent movie. But I was really into the part where he was talking about adding food, because he had to gain a lot of weight for that role. And listening to him talk about how much food he had to eat, it was disturbing the amount of calories he was putting in his body.
I can't even imagine. It's frightening, frankly.
Yeah, it was gross for sure. And then Seth MacFarlane, he does Family Guy. He's a performer. It's just interesting. Like, do you know a lot about pop culture then and celebrities? You know a fair share, right?
Sort of.
Yeah. Do you think it would be fun to be a celebrity or a nightmare?
Actually, the money would make it fun. But the actual thought of being a celebrity is actually probably not that appealing, because they lose their sense of individuality. They lose their sense of privacy.
Especially now.
And I feel awful that, they don't feel like they can be themselves. Like I couldn't go to a restaurant, or, I'm a nobody. I go wherever I want to go and nobody cares.
I know. I used to think like, oh, celebrities have so much power and they can meet famous people and they go wherever they want. But really, I sometimes think I have more power than they do, because I can just go to the grocery store, right? Without anybody noticing. I can go for a walk in the park and not be approached by people and have people take out their cameras.
Yes, exactly.
So celebrity is fascinating, though, because even when I'm out and about, I know that people who are famous are normal people that just happen to be on TV or in the movies, right? But you still can't stop. You still can't help yourself, and you stare and you're like, oh my God, that person's on TV, right? Have you ever met somebody famous that was like a really positive interaction?
No.
Anything negative?
No. Well, no, yes and no actually is the answer, because even as a young child, somehow, not taught, but just innate, they deserve privacy. And so, for example, the first star I ever saw was Rick Ocasek.
Oh, from the
We are
Cars lead
music.
singer.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
the lead singer of the Cars.
And he sticks out because he's
He's
so tall.
really
He was,
tall,
yeah.
but it was in a candy store in downtown Boston. And I remember telling my dad, who I don't even recall if dad remembered who he was or knew who he was. He's like, that's Rick Ocasek. He's the lead singer of the Cars. But I just let him pick out his candy. He went down the escalator of the mall and he left. And I didn't want to bother him, but it would have been cool, like, hey, can I have your autograph, whatever. But I just kind of let them be.
Yeah. Well, and you live in an area where there are a lot of famous people milling about. What about athletes? When we were out with your kids and you would see athletes out and about, would they want to say something? Would your son ever want to go up to a Patriot or a Celtic?
My daughter got her white coat from Northeastern University. They do that as part of their doctoral program. And
Nice.
we took her out to dinner at this lovely place on the waterfront in Boston. And my son says to me, he said, Mom, and he's now 24, 25. And he says, Mom, that is the goalie of the New England Revolution. And for those who are not fans, New England Revolution is the MLS team here in Boston / Foxborough.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'm going to go tell him that I would like a picture or an autograph. I said, okay, that's fine with me. I said, are you confident that that's him? And apparently it was just on the heels of the US national soccer team. But anyway, so my son in his 20s goes up and talks to the goalie. Don't ask me his name because I will not remember. But I was proud of him for A, doing it, and B, being respectful in this very nice restaurant of this goalie. So
Right. Yeah.
but
Well, that's the only thing. If I were a celebrity, I would welcome, especially kids, if they were to come up to me. I mean, how much fun. It's so simple. They have so much power to make somebody's day and year just by being kind of friendly. So, just to wrap up with Sunday Sit Down, this is an easy podcast.
easy.
They're typically shorter. So, what does it say about you that you like to listen to this show?
That's actually a really good question. I would say that I care about people. Because like I said, it's one thing to see these people on screen or in your car radio, like we just talked about, but to understand who they are as people,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of powerful. And, so now I have a new respect for, like Michelle Yeoh, for
Mm-hmm.
example, and where she came from and how she came to be in Hollywood. And Mila Kunis was another great interview. She's Ukrainian.
Yeah.
And she talked about, where she came from. And I was like, what, that's really an interesting story. And, now she's very well known, and her and Ashton Kutcher have donated a significant amount of money. But, to learn why they are, why these people are for the causes that they're for. And, it's not all about the Hollywood presence, and it's not always about the money. It's like that they do respect their, in often cases, humble beginnings.
Yeah. Right. Right. Just like you, Kristin, humble beginnings. So we are going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to play a game that I think is going to be helpful for you as you begin your job search.
Okay.
All right. So we'll be right back.
Podfulness.
The human body is amazing. It has the power to heal itself. It doesn't run on batteries. Rather, sleep is its recharge mechanism. And the human body is made up of muscles and organs, lots of water, and bones. And there's one bone in particular that needs more attention. Hi, folks. Mark Bernstein from Podfulness here. And I'm here to talk to you about that bone in your wrist that sticks out and you can't figure out why. You don't really pay attention to it, but every now and then you run your finger across it and you think, do I need to see a doctor for this? It's kind of weird. Go ahead and take your left hand and feel your right wrist on the outside. It feels like there's a bump there, but that's bone. Now, I could go online and do my own research, but I'd rather not educate myself. I'm just sitting here wondering, what is that bone all about? I feel like maybe we only need 205 bones. This one is completely unnecessary. It's like a spare part. It's a bonus bone. It just doesn't seem to fit. Very random. And the more you touch it and notice it, the more you think something is wrong. Seriously, why is that bump so big? Is it getting bigger? Then again, without this special little bump, could the ulna connect to the hand? Is this little bump, this bone, The most important bone in the human body. It might be. It just might be. And now, back to the show. As a lead into our game, Kristin, I want to share an experience that I had once. In my late 20s, I applied for a position with a company in town. It was an airline company, but they had this side business where they took groups on tours. So I was applying to be a tour director. And during the job interview, they asked me this question. They said, "So tell me, what do you have in the trunk of your car?" Now, at the time, I was naive and I was like, why would they want to know that? And I had just purchased a new car. It was my first ever purchase. It was a 1996 Honda Civic stick shift, two-door. I was super pumped and excited about it. It was a week old. I had nothing in my trunk. And so they asked me that. And I said, there might be a spare tire back there. And that was it. But that's not what they wanted to hear. They wanted to know, am I prepared for situations? So they wanted to hear me say, I have a candle, I have jumper cables, I have extra clothes, I have a shovel, I have food for 2 weeks. I did not get the job. And I feel like to this day, it's because of that answer that I gave.
Because of what you carry in your trunk, Mark.
Yeah, that's right. So where's this going? So starting a new job can be exciting. You get new colleagues, you get to learn new processes, new products, but you also have to get through that job interview. So we are going to play a game right now that allows listeners to determine whether we think you are an ideal candidate to work for Podfulness. So you're applying for a job at Podfulness, and this game is called Hired or Fired.
Podfulness.
Now, keep in mind, Kristin, we aren't hiring at Podfulness. You know that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we got a full staff, outstanding benefits, flexible vacation policy, and all that. So this is just for fun. So there is no job offer at the end of the game. All right, so you are sitting down at my company. These are questions that are actual job interview questions that companies have asked interviewees.
Okay.
And once we finish this job interview, we'll see if you have what it takes to cut the mustard.
Gotcha.
So, Kristin, come on in. Take a seat. Jamie, I'm going to need you to hold all my calls.
No problem, sir. Do you still want me to get carry out? Club sandwich?
No, let's make it a BLT this time.
Got it. BLT on wheat or white?
Actually, Jamie, no bread, and hold the B and the T.
So BLT, no bread, no bacon, no tomato.
That's it.
Just a piece of lettuce?
Yes, I'm not super hungry today. Thanks, Jamie. Okay, where were we? Oh, the interview. How was the drive over today? Any traffic issues?
No, actually, things were really good today, Mark. I used my Waze app and got here in a pretty timely fashion.
Boy, but it was quite the storm that we had last night, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. There were some trees in my way and lots of fallen branches, but thankfully my Department of Public Works is out there cleaning it up.
That's right. Question number 1. Kristin, you have been given an elephant. You can't give it away or sell it. What do you do with the elephant?
I would take the elephant in my newly purchased trailer to students at schools. And I'd visit with them and let them hang out with my elephant. And then I'd go to another school and hang out with my elephant. And maybe I could make some money from selling time with my elephant. I don't know.
Okay, so you're looking to monetizing
the elephants.
Okay. All right. We'll come back to see if that answer was good enough. Question number 2, Kristin. What is the color of money?
Yellow.
Yellow. Can you expand on that?
So the answer, if I pulled it out of my pocket, I got a green bill, right? That's the number. Oh, that's the color. Duh. But yellow, I say yellow only because it actually can provide sunshine. It can be a good thing. It can allow you to do things that you may not have been able to do. So I think that money is different.
It is different. Okay. Question number 3. Kristin, what was the last gift you gave someone?
Well, I guess I'll say I gave my son and his girlfriend a whole house worths of furniture.
Whoa, really?
I
Now, how
did.
come? What did they need all that furniture for?
So I'm very proud of them for saving money to buy a first house. Gratefully, when I moved out of a little condo, I put all of my furniture in storage. And so when they decided to buy this house, which was eventually the plan, but I basically, the moving truck rolled up and they got a whole house full of furniture.
They were probably delighted.
Yes, they were.
Yes. Question number 4. What do you think of garden gnomes?
Garden gnomes, 1 per yard. There should be a rule
Yeah.
because some people are gnome hoarders, and I giggle when I pass their house.
Gnome hoarding. Okay, and here we go. Question number 5. If you had to be shipwrecked on a deserted island, but all of your human needs, such as food and water, well taken care of, what 2 items would you want to have with you?
Uh, a loaded bookshelf and music. Whether it's I'd need tunes, and I am not a music creator. I will not be making any use of a piano without making noise. Music.
Perfect. Okay, so now you've left the office, and now I have to think about the answers you gave to see if I want to hire you or not. So let's go back to question 1. You've been given an elephant. You can't give it away or sell it. What do you do with it? You said you'd buy a trailer. Actually, you had a new trailer that you just recently acquired. You take it to schools and maybe have children give their allowance money to spend time with your elephant. Now, this is a question that came from an IT software company that would help the interviewer get a better sense of the candidate's reasoning skills. It allows you to get insight into how your candidate thinks and prioritizes and problem solves.
Interesting.
Interesting. So on the elephant question alone, Kristin, I'm not sure you're the right fit for Podfulness.
Not sure either.
Okay, so question number 2. I asked, what is the color of money? And you said yellow, because it's the color of sunshine. And money allows you to do good things. Now, this is a question that is a good gauge for whether a candidate has a well-rounded view of the economy. So this is a question that was asked by an actual financial institution, because your instinct is to say green, but you know what? All over the world, money is a different color. It depends on the country. That was kind of never a question that you would probably be asked. So I'm going to throw that one out. That's not really fair. Okay.
Ding ding.
Actually, I like yellow. Yellow was creative. So that's right. I'm going to give you credit for that one. Okay. Question number 3. What was the last gift you gave to someone? Your answer was perfect. You gave furniture to your child to begin their new life. This is a question that was asked by Gallup during a data analyst interview. So it should reveal something about your candidate's personal character. Okay, so according to this information, it should elicit a warm, emotional response, which is what you gave. So perfectly done, Kristin. Yeah. What do you think of garden gnomes? You obviously have a lot going on in your past. Very anti-gnome. 1 per yard. It should be a rule. This question was actually asked by Trader Joe's, intended to loosen the candidate up, get a glimpse of their personality, to see if they're a good fit for the culture of Trader Joe's. So Trader Joe's, as you know, they like to hide the lemur. Do they do that in the Trader Joe's? Do they do that in your stores?
What's the lemur story?
Well, there's a stuffed animal at the Trader Joe's that we go to. It's a lemur, and they hide it around the store every day. So when kids are shopping with their parents or their family, it gives them something to do. They're looking for the lemur.
No, but now I'm going to be looking for the lemur when I go to my store.
Well, you know what? Because you're anti-gnome, I feel like you're anti-lemur. So you're not getting credit for that question. And then finally, question number 5, Kristin. You're shipwrecked on a deserted island. All of your needs are met, but what 2 items would you want with you? You said a loaded bookshelf and music. So this question is asked by companies like Yahoo to encourage the candidate to demonstrate creativity and innovativeness, right? It also determines your priorities, and you want to learn about the world. You want music to uplift your soul. So for that reason, I would take you on here at Podfulness. I think we have space for you. I think you were
Thank you,
3 out
Mark.
of 5. Yeah. You're an ideal candidate. And anyone out there listening, if you think Kristin would be a good fit with your culture, I'm trying to pimp you out here.
Thank you.
She's looking for work. She could be a furniture mover. She could be an elephant walker. She could be a lot of different things. It was so great to catch up with you, Kristin.
Thank you so much for your time, Mark. I really appreciate it. It's been really fun, and I hope for great success with Podfulness.
Thank you. Kristin Howland, everybody. She's a good person. I enjoyed working with her. I'm so happy that we reconnected and I was able to catch up on her life. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. You can get in on the conversation. Seriously, it's not that hard. Haven't you always wanted to be on a podcast about podcasts? But really, it's about people. So if you have a podcast that you love to listen to and you want to share with the world, and you also like to goof around, and I'm just trying to buy time here until the music ends, and you want to share part of your life, reach out to me at Podfulness. That's either via Gmail, on Instagram, or Twitter. Or you can just open your window and yell really loudly, Podfulness! I want to be on your show! That's not a good idea. Don't do that. Okay, music is almost to the end. This is my favorite part. Here we go. I'm going to start the close. Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next time on another episode of
Podfulness.